Hi, I'm Sky, and this is my friend request. Kind of to redo it because the last time I was I was a little under the weather, and plus I was in a creative frame of mind, so I started with a friend request, and then I just kind of went off on a bunch of other things and ideas. Um, but once again, this is my friend request to the guys at G4, the staff in particular. I mean, yes, I'm trying to get a job at G4, and I know that's kind of a pipe dream, and if I get it or not, I'm not too worried about it. It's just that it seems really neat, really interesting, and it's something I think that I really enjoy. But short of that, if I could just become friends with the staff, because you're a creative group of guys, I would like that. I would get a kick out of that because like I said, you creative group of guys, you do real interesting work, and just the culture, the people you hang around with, and the things you do, which is very interesting. And even then, I don't expect to, you know, like for to get a phone call or an email and say, yeah, come on up, and here you go, Sky. We're going to give you this. We're going to, we're going to a Playboy party, and or whatever. Like it's not even like that. If you guys are just hanging out, playing a game, you know, there's gonna be a party, or you just hang out at a bar or something like that. Let me know. I would like to come hang out and talk with you guys, and stuff like that. And you can meet me in person. And if you think I'm an alright guy, invite me into your circle. And if not, I totally understand. I live 4 hours away from Los Angeles, and would just it wouldn't be that big of a thing for me to go up to Los Angeles and hang out with you guys, interact with you guys. And it's part of what I was trying to get at with my original friend request too is that, I'm not going to use you guys. I'm not going to try to weasel in, something or other, because I think that's, what I see a lot of is that, people recognize celebrities and they're like, oh, hey, could you do me this, do me that, and while this request extends to like guys like Casey and even Adam Sessler and Kevin Pereira and Zach Selwyn. It's like if they want to hang with me, or if they don't mind me hanging out with you and them and this and that, that's cool. But otherwise, I don't expect. I'm not trying to do that. And I'm honest and sincere about that too. And that's one of the things I try to do on the forums as well is always be honest and sincere, which can be a bad thing because that's when I say like, oh, I think Olivia's cute, but would I want to date her? Not not particularly. I don't think she's just quite not my type. She's a wonderful woman. I think she's a good actress. I really hope she makes it far in her career, but I'm not too interested in hooking up with her. Maybe hooking up with Anna David, but that's a whole other thing. And with Blair Butler, I would love to meet her and talk with her. She really just fascinates me. I really get a kick out of seeing her, and hooking up with her. Well, my nickname for her is Toothpick Girl because she's just really skinny. So it's like I said, I would really like to meet and talk to her and hang out and be friends. And this is and the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't have too many friends where I live. I'm a little lonely, and part of the reason why is because I haven't really lived here for about 10 years. After I graduated high school, what few friends I did have, they've gone their separate ways. They've done their different things, and some of the guys I did hang around with a lot, they've gone on to, they moved out of the valley, they got married, this and that. One of the guys, he's a professional wrestler now. His name is Mike Knox. He's on ECW Tuesday nights, and just a great guy. Fun guy. My other buddy, he's a prison guard right now. He works nights and he's married. So he just, he's busy, and the other thing is that I want to meet an interesting, intelligent group of people to interact with and hang out with, and, nerdy, geeky guys who are into that stuff, into just, technology, internet, and video games and stuff like that. That's why, like, the G4, the guys who work at G4 or, any of the people who are part of that community, I would like to meet and hang out and interact with you guys because, if anything, I could gain, I could learn from that. I think that would, you know, it would help me as a writer. It would help me figure out what I want to do with my life. It would help me figure out, like, what I think, what's important, even, and if anything, it's just another experience I can add to, just my own other experiences and use that as just material that I can, create from, that I can, write stories from. Um, you know, and I mean, here's something else I offer to you guys is that, if you do give me a call or send me a message, say, yeah, we'll consider this. I'll buy you guys like lunch or dinner, so, to sweeten the deal, but the reason why is because, I'm not in it to take anything from you guys or to, like I said, try to gain anything from you or steal anything from you. I consider myself a sincere guy or a good guy, amazing guy in some ways. And well, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, I don't think of myself as a scumbag or a bad guy. I, if any of my motivations is to help people and to learn. So, I mean, ultimately, that's like why I'm doing this. It's weird, it's unorthodox, but it's unique, and why not? Why not try this? You have MySpace, which has friend requests, but, what exactly is that? It's just, it's people, they can just look at a page of you, and it's like decide, well, do I really want to interact with the person or not? And even then, it's, I kind of use it for, getting girls, but, and that's not succeeding, either. So, but the other reason why I wanted to meet with you guys in G4, or anybody else for that matter who's part of that community, is because you're from LA, you're in Los Angeles. My father, he was born and raised there, and he always tells me stories, and I kind of, I would like to just be in that environment, be trouncing around, the boulevards and the streets, the hills and the valleys, and Redondo and Venice and just Pasadena, Burbank, stuff like that. I would like, just to be in that environment, and check it out and, understand why my dad talks about it so well or, thinks about it so highly. And, it's different, but at the same time, maybe it's the same. So, I don't know. But, that's my reason for doing this is, I'm kind of lonely down here where I'm living at. It's hard for me to find a niche of people that I would like to interact with. And from what I've, seen and learned, especially from the forums and just what I see on TV shows, you guys really seem like an interesting group of people that I would like to, become friends with and interact with. And that's my big thing too, is that I like hearing stories. I like collecting stories. If you guys just wanted to talk about whatever, anything, I would really like that. I really get a kick out of that. And, and it's not even for gossip rags or, and that's something else to consider too, is that, I'm not part of any newspaper or website or whatever. I'm just my own guy, but I'm also a guy that's just trying to, figure out where I'm going in life and what I want to do. And that's why I'm, my job requests idea is that, I'm just trying, I would like to possibly, get a job with G4 or, something in the same vein. But otherwise, it would be, to see how you guys live or, hear your stories and stuff like that. And, I guess the other thing is, what are you guys doing for New Year's? Is there a party? Could you guys invite me to that? Because that's the other, that's something else. So, personal requests, for why I'm, doing this as well. But so, I'm hoping you guys will see this and say, hey, yeah, maybe, let's give this guy Sky a chance, and message me, talk to me, find out if I'm legit, if I'm for real, and I hope you guys see this. So, have Merry Holidays.